we go. So it's using the wrong audio as well. This thing is just doing some weird shit right now.
We are live, people. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining, and welcome to episode 13 of the weekly. This week is packed with a bunch of uselessness. One I personally experienced, other that we've seen on the news, and one that, of course, Mr. Juan Bagwell will talk about. So let's kick things off this week with our regular hosts. Of course, we have Mr. Juan Bagnell from Pocket Now, Some Gadget Guy. How's it going, man?
Going well, man.
Cool.
Got my coffee.
All right. And Mr. Warren Bowman from BW1.com.
All right. Thumbs up. Let's do this. And I thought we don't kick things off. I thought we drag things off now.
I mean, it all depends. And there he is with that polo shirt. The one, the only Black Iron _man. What's it going, Sam?
What's going on, guys?
Cool. All right, let's start with of course, the first item of the week. We know that United had a massive amount of uselessness, probably the biggest one this week or this year or in a while. A passenger was pulled off his flight because United needed to fly a few employees from one airport to another. They asked everyone to anyone who could actually give up a seat. No one agreed, even though they offered $800. So they randomly picked people, and they picked a doctor, a Chinese doctor. He said he couldn't get off because he had a flight. I mean, he had to be in the hospital the next morning, and they decided to drag him out of the plane. And that proceeded to United handling things poorly and then losing $1 billion in value. So, I mean, the reason I want to put this out there is not necessarily just because United. I know this is not necessarily tech related, but it is still PR related, and it's a lot of things that a lot of companies don't tend to understand how to manage well, especially tech companies. And granted, they are not doing anything like this, but I just want to get your thoughts on this. I will kick off with you, Sam.
Well, I think it's a little bit tech related, right? Because how did they pick the last 4 people who left the flight? They used some kind of random algorithm, whatever, to pick the people based on how much you pay for your tickets, or what the price, what the time you bought your ticket and whatever it was.
I have a feeling that they're lying about that so much.
Regardless, they're lying or not.
They're lying.
The answer to this still is don't let an algorithm do your PR job. Simple as that. Okay.
Well, I can appreciate. No. I agree with you, Sam. But I think in the culture that we have with air travel right now, I don't think they got to the final offer. Right. I think the people that are sort of the executing the orders, and I mean that in sort of the brutal way that it sounds, the execution of this order 66 for this passenger.
Throwing in some Star Wars reference there.
Yeah, but at some point they need to be empowered to actually offer deals that will entice people to get off the plane, or that they can sort of celebrate someone who helped them out. Something that actually makes this consumer facing, as opposed to, well, one of our pilots needs to fly in this plane, so we're gonna have to kick you off. Yeah, I don't think they got to that final point where they said, at some point, if you need to offer someone $3,000 in vouchers to get them off the plane, then that's what needs to happen. This notion that we can use, TSA police force as stormtroopers for a corporation is completely untenable. That's disgusting.
Which Delta just changed their policies to actually offer, I think, somewhere around the $12,000 range or something.
It's $9,995 is the
amount. But the problem still is they, like I said, right? They used an algorithm to make a decision without any PR implications. Simple. They offered $800. That was the last offer they had. They were empowered to offer close to $1,200, if not more.
Yeah.
So even the people who were empowered to do this didn't have any common sense.
Yeah, they didn't take ownership to that. You're right.
Nobody thought customer first, and that was the problem. No one really thought to, this is not the best decision. But if we spin this into championing somebody for giving up their basic, they're going to lose out on wherever their next day or their next event's going to be, because they fucked up because United fucked up their own damn schedule with their own pilots, and not do that. That shows that there's a huge issue with customer service that they need to resolve in training. Period. With that, now granted, I think, and I hear a lot of people are just like kind of saying, well, you should have just got off the plane. It's not his plane. He's entitled. And I'm saying, listen, I don't think anyone's sitting there saying, no, we shouldn't have gone off the plane. I haven't heard anyone say, no, we shouldn't have. I think everyone's worried about how most of things are pointing to is United's handling of it, which was, physically removing the guy. And there was no need for that type of escalation, period. And now they've gotten themselves in a PR fiasco. Sure, the rules could say what they want, policy can say what they do, but man, people, I could tell people haven't worked in customer service or something like that to not understand that policies say one thing, but man, the court of public opinion will overrule policy almost every single time. And if you
what's interesting though is
ended really fast.
It's something that Kyle Rubbles brings up, which when I was growing up, especially my mom owned her own business. And the rule of thumb is the customer is always right. That's how I learned PR from a young age. Yes, you have to deal with customer issues. You try and accommodate that, and then you blend that into your business. That whole mindset of the customer is always right has gone completely. Where it's now, we have the right because this is in our rule book, and therefore you must, conform to that right. And I think in a lot of places, in a lot of stages where they made so many mistakes, even down to the point when he said, I am a doctor, and you're going, okay, if you're a doctor or medical physician, then that means
just pick somebody else.
Yeah, you're most likely needed for, something, that's important as opposed to somebody else. And also not, going up to the max of 1,200 or saying 1,200 and an extra ticket, you can pile on a couple of credits to
they have to understand this issue. They were totally thinking of their needs and not thinking of the fact that yes, you get the pilots over there, that resolves the fact that they whole flight of people aren't going to be delayed, but that one person is taking the L for that whole thing because now their day is screwed over or whatever they had to do is messed up, and you need to pay up or accommodate as much as you possibly can for that person sacrificing their time for, once again, United screw up and not getting their pilots in the positions where they're supposed to be at the time. That's on them for those things. So no matter what, we can sit there and say the rules are rules and the customer should have gotten off. And I don't think anybody's denying that. But the problem comes is that what created the issue? The issue is technically all created by United that inconvenienced this person. So they need to make the issue right. And they just chose to go, instead of making a solid PR move and then some part of a positive spin on something, instead get this PR nightmare and lose about $1 billion in dollars in valuation. And even stock aside, because the stock forced them to apologize and actually put out an actual legitimate apology. But now you are branded with this negativity on United that is going to carry on through. People are going to make jokes when they book United flights. If they book United flights, there's probably some people that aren't gonna book anymore because of this. So you're not going to see it now.
China's going to town on these guys.
You're not seeing it
going to town on them.
You're not seeing it now, right? You're not going to see it now because stock went down and went back up. You're not going to see it now, but over time, if their numbers start to go down, which they probably will, people will probably actively avoid them. And if that's the case, that's when they're going to see the actions that he took at this point, and the ramifications later is that that their profits get hit by it. I can't see that CEO lasting another year if you start seeing quarters go down.
I mean, no, it's very true. I think one of the things also is just the way they reacted after the fact. Forget what happened before or during, that's just one aspect of things. The statements from the ex-CEO, then the CEO's memo, and then you have that false report that the doctor was arrested for selling prescription drugs and all that's like
doctor.
I mean, it really set things on a very bad path. And this goes to show how companies look at customer service and PR. A lot of companies do not spend time to focus on that. It's just like how we talk about security. It's the same thing. Those are the two last areas most of these companies or any company in general thinks about dealing with or spending money.
It was also
that same point. Real quick, to that same point, this is exactly why these employees needed some kind of better media training. When you have an escalating situation and the plane is on the ground,
with social
you
media
have
involved.
to know that whatever happens on an airplane is going to be broadcast instantly.
Mm-hmm.
To get ahead of those situations, back to Sam's point, this is where we can't have sky nannies. I know that there's like a rule or a law that, any lawful command that's issued by a flight attendant has to be followed. And that's kind of one of the same things that they can kind of get around, like having, these are the things you can do on a plane and these are the things you can't do on a plane. I know there are rules for that too, but after a point, like if you're issued a lawful command from a flight attendant and you disobey it, that's just against the law. It's kind of like disrespecting a police officer. There might not be an exact law written as to what you did, but there was a general law that gets you in trouble. So we have some people, it sounds like there was some sort of power tripping happening at some point, but from the company's perspective, if they're not being proactive in training their personnel on how to diffuse situations and not escalate situations, then they're going to be proper boned, because the stuff's only going to get more aggressive and shared more readily. It's not going to, you can't put the genie back in that bottle.
Yeah, there's so much wrong with this story from the get-go that it's I don't even think we can cover all of it from how he was able to get on the plane without them realizing that he needed four extra attendants to be on for another flight. The whole idea of the way they warned people when no one put their hands up, the whole idea of the way they took him out, the whole idea of just the whole idea of how the CEOs reacted, the almost smear campaign. This is a total snafu.
What was interesting over the weekend, over the whole thing, was some people's reaction to it, and you get to realize that some of your friends love to victim blame and love to just do that type of stuff, and then you kind of call them out on it, and they get a little titsy and arrogant and just kind of try to yell the rules at you, and then that just reminds you, if you ever run a business, you don't hire this person because they have no idea how customer service works. Clearly. Entitled pricks, but anyway, they are, because they'll be the first one to call someone else an entitled prick, which is funny. But how the policies were, it's all about truthfully, what is your image going to look like at the end of this? And if it's not a positive sum game for you, you need to figure out how to make it that way. And that's just I don't think there's so much, like Sam said, there's so much wrong with this that's just going up and down. I don't think anybody's right. There's no right person in any of this whole thing. It's just that in the end of the day, somebody got beat up and dragged off of a plane horrifically that could have been easily avoided had they just thought customer first. And then and then the funny thing is that when they brought this up, when this happened, there was a no-win situation. The doctor could have been on drugs and some more, so they could discredit him all they wanted, call it been true. But this type of action brings up all the angst that people have against airlines and all the negative experiences that they have. So it's going to escalate it even further. So people are going to blow this up even bigger than even bigger now, because they relate to that experience of having a negative experience with United or whatever airline there is. But I love how other airlines are just taking advantage of it and then advertising against them.
Oh, you have to. But I mean, to your point, the one thing that is really important is there's a right way to handle these things. Whether you're right or wrong, there's always a right way to handle it. And speaking of a right way to handle stuff, I will move to our second uselessness of the week, is the hack of a bunch of YouTube channels, especially those who are tied with Studio 71, which I am. I believe it was Thursday evening while I was enjoying The Fate of the Furious and watching a superhero movie starring The Rock and Vin Diesel. I finished the movie to find out that my YouTube channel was hacked. I want to thank all those who informed me, just people on Twitter, send me messages also just on the pages themselves, by a group called Our Mind. And basically it wasn't my channel directly that was hacked, it was my MCN that was hacked. And they got through there and they changed about 30 to 35 videos, the title and descriptions. They didn't change the tags. Thank you very much. So at least the videos were still kind of moving through YouTube's algorithm. But it was the process of handling this. I didn't find out from my MCN till 11 p.m. Was that the time, Sam? I got the email
About around that time.
Yeah, around 11 p.m. or so, which was way after the fact that this had happened, and it was very generic. And also, it took YouTube a while to get things back into order. It took them like a day and a half, I believe. I manually changed a couple of videos because I had a couple of videos running at that time. But it's just for me, it was just the personal annoyance. And also even the guys who did the hack, it's really annoying though, because you drop this random thing and then you drop Gmail account and you expect me to think that's legit. I mean, like, okay, I get it. You're showing that the security is poor. Fine. But you're not even presenting it in a fashion that makes any sense whatsoever. And
your URL doesn't work either.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. And I mean, they created a video that showcased how they actually did some of the changes. I think YouTube eventually took it down yesterday. But it was just one of those things where, for me, it was bloody annoying all the way through, from the hack to me trying to make changes, and also from the MCN point of view. I could go on a very long rant, but I would just save it because
you have an MCN rant too. Oh, I'll be shooting a video on my MCN issues.
Well, I'll put it this way, right? And here's the thing: I joined this MCN 2 years ago. My MCN manager, who I had for 2 years, who left in January, was fantastic.
Nice.
He did a great job in managing a lot of things for the channel, which a lot of people do. So for me, I felt that, what?
We saw that, Sam, and heard it. Did it look like?
I was like, did they hear that?
Yeah, they did.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, so I mean, he did a great job for me on the channel, which was very good, and I liked the service I was getting. So once he left and I made a change, to another manager, that's when everything just went downhill for me. It seems that with MCNs, that's what you get. It's who you're working with. If there's somebody who is passionate about what they're doing, because literally I spoke with my own manager, and she gave me the impression that I didn't contact her, which is why she hasn't contacted me since she took over. Customer service again. And she goes, well, I didn't hear from you. I'm like, no, I am paying you. So you need to understand that you have to check in. It is your job. Yeah, you may have other clients who have more subscribers than I do, or making you more revenue. It doesn't matter to me.
If you take that money,
yeah,
you got to do the job.
So it's
literally your only reason for being.
Exactly. So it was just a lot. It was a lot of annoyance, especially hearing that and getting the kind of response where I've had issues. I'll put it this way, especially just from manager to manager. When I had a copyright ding on my account 2 years ago, my manager called me and told me I had a ding before the email even popped up from YouTube. And then he spent the whole week resolving it with Google. So that was a different service I'm getting from someone who sends me a generic email and then tells me, oh, I'm sorry.
That email was just totally.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, now, if someone has been hacked, the first thing you do is you're supposed to apologize and not send like a cookie cutter. You're supposed to, right off the bat, you're supposed to be very apologetic that you are the vector for this hack. You're supposed to feel like you're supposed to have that mea culpa moment, but no mea culpa is just.
No, because I was ready to go and change like passwords and everything.
Oh yeah. Which would have been worse in your case, because you would have had a false sense of security, and the issue was actually with the MCN, not yourself.
Yeah. And Sam's like, wait a minute, let's see, let's check on the channels. I'm like, damn.
Good old MCNs providing zero service.
Oh no, and it's not just MCNs. Nah, the MCNs are one problem. Let's look at YouTube, okay? Because this is not the first time this has happened. Yeah. This has happened in November of 2016. This happened about the 4th of this month, and it is happening again 10 days later. So Google, you had an excess of about 5 months to basically plug holes. So what have you done?
Well, they fixed Quan's audio back again, so.
Oh,
Sort of. It'll crap out again. We know it's gonna fail. This has been phenomenally useless. So
Yeah.
it's becoming a nightmare where companies are looking at people who generate money for them, be it customers or be it creators, as just revenue generators, but rather as like customers and basically a core part of your business, right? There's a little video I watched when I was back in my early days of finance. Right? So the name of the video was "The Customer is Always Dwight," and the whole idea is even your coworker is a customer. Anyone you interact with is a customer. So treat everyone like a customer, right? No one is doing that. Like YouTube isn't doing that. The MCN isn't doing that. So where are these creators that are affected supposed to, who are they supposed to rely on that if this happens again, they would have, tough service, they would have a great recourse or someone to turn to resolve this problem for them as quickly as possible.
But the issue, and we've talked about this before, the issue is one of monopoly. I mean, where else do you go to easily share video content? And I mean, like, have you guys looked into other services? Like, I just signed up for VidMe. I'm going to be mirroring some of my Gadget Guy stuff over there to see if there's an actual community. I don't really get the kind of interactions on Vimeo that I'd want to move tech content over. Like Vimeo, the vibe at Vimeo is more like indie filmmaker, not like YouTube.
And music videos.
Yeah, well, indie filmmaker, they're all trying to make their nut by starting off with music videos.
Sorry, man.
I know too many people that have. I'm coughing into the microphone. Sorry about that. I know too many people that actually have made that transition to happen, to then see the people that are putting up stuff, and you're like, oh, you're never really gonna work in this industry. But I'm willing to engage in the experiment. Like taking twice the time and effort to upload every video. Just to see if there are any other communities out there. So you can follow me at vidme.com/onebyagno. But until we have some kind of competition, there's no incentive for YouTube to change policy or to improve service.
No, I do agree.
Well, no, they do. It's called when all their freaking advertisers are leaving.
Well, all of their freaking advertisers were leaving. I mean, their solution right now is to move the YouTube brand over into premium services like YouTube Red or legit content like YouTube TV.
Yeah,
but we see what Google's strategy is. It's not catering to people like me.
No,
but that's the thing we talked about, right? Warren, is they had a strategy initially, and they broke it with the YouTube partnership of actually breaking channels into categories where advertisers feel comfortable in advertising on different channels. Because right now, if you're an advertiser, you throw an ad, you spend $6 million on ads on YouTube, it's just going everywhere, right? There's no delineation of saying, okay, these are channels that only do certain amount of videos. I don't want it there because I need to hit a certain target amount of people. Now the algorithm can match the right kind of people for you, but they don't do it, from an advertiser's standpoint of view. And also from the creator standpoint, I know they just instituted the 10,000 views for you to run ads, which, Warren stated is like, you probably can make that with one video if you're lucky, or at least in a very short period of time. So it still doesn't give you that quality breakdown that you want.
And other things too. It's like we were trying to resurrect the old movie review show that we had done, and there's no change to the policy of copyright. So when we were on other platforms like blip.tv, that's actually where we had some of our best interactions way back in the day. We worked really hard to play within the rules of fair use, commentary, and critique. No spoilers, even though these movies were sometimes 40 or 50 years old, and very minimal usage of content to only illustrate the points that we were talking about. And so we tried an experiment of uploading some of those old episodes to YouTube, which of course you get, a copyright match. And you're like, okay, so then let's go through the process. And the process is they send a message to the copyright holder, and the copyright holder says, no, we don't want to give up the strike. They will monetize it, so they can't monetize it, but we're not gonna budge. And then YouTube goes, okay, well, we tried, and you're done. That's it.
Yeah. So they supposedly changed that. I had one strike on a video on my entertainment channel on Board, and that video did very well. I think it's a small channel, and it did like 76,000 views. Of course, I put in a request on the strike. YouTube says that if you put in a request, that they will keep the money made from that channel in a invisible separate box, and then once it's resolved, you get it back. So after 2 weeks and that racking 76,000 views, I won, quote unquote. So I was like, "Woo! This is 76,000 views. All that invisible money will be coming back to the channel." It was only 20 cents.
Right. Sure.
For 3-4
are you guys reading the chat?
No, I'm looking at it.
I just wanted to give a quick shout out to iMac Tech, man. Dude, I'm glad you're feeling okay. The guy had a blood clot in his lung, he said.
Oh.
That sounds painful. Glad you're doing okay, dude. And,
man.
Welcome back.
Good to have you back, man. Sorry about that. That's but that definitely is rough, man. But yeah, it's an interesting process and how YouTube will handle these things, as well as like the MCN. But we haven't gone into new segment, and we still have one more uselessness to go to. So Juan, can you kick us off with Tennessee and broadband?
Yes, let's talk a little politics. So to set the stage, I've mentioned this before on the show. I'm a really big fan of the municipal broadband efforts being enacted in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're all probably aware of Google Fiber, but Chattanooga was legitimately the first installation of gigabit fiber to consumers. They beat Google, I think, and like by a matter of like weeks. We're not talking like they've had it for years. But this was an initiative that started out. Chattanooga was being underserved by current ISPs. They managed to scrape together enough public support to try their own publicly funded broadband initiative, and they got a grant from the Department of Energy. The DOE is very interested in fiber to homes because that could serve as the new backbone of our energy grid. Right now, there are 55,000 substations in the United States. There are 30 critical substations, and if you knock out 6 of those 30, you can send rolling blackouts throughout the United States for weeks, if not months. That's how fragile our electrical grid is at the moment. So anything that can kind of redirect and more intelligently direct energy to homes and then from data centers, because that's where some of these hubs would be, the Department of Energy is very interested in what might make this situation better. So to reward the amazing efforts of Chattanooga, the rest of Tennessee's state legislature has written laws and enacted legislation to prevent the spread of municipal funded broadband through the rest of the state. They've locked it down. Only Chattanooga gets it. Everyone else is served by Comcast and AT&T with I think 5 megabit DSL and 20 or 50, I can't remember.
I think it was 20 megabits.
Comcast cable. So, because competition, because you don't want the businesses to have to do anything. So we were just going to lock it all up. So Tennessee is one of those areas where there's enough rural population that they're just not served at all. Like if they get 768K DSL, they might not have anything. So, in trying to spread digital connectivity to the rest of the population, they just passed the Broadband Accessibility Act. And the Broadband Accessibility Act is going to put aside $45 million in tax breaks and bonds for businesses, major multi-billion-dollar ISPs, to start rolling out whatever crap DSL or basic cable to people in more rural areas, and has actually written into the law stricter provisions to prevent any additional spread of municipal or community funded broadband. So the power company actually manages the internet in Chattanooga. It's EPB. EPB has been lobbying to try and expand the footprint of this fiber initiative because it's going to be good for the state. It's going to be good for the power grid. It's going to be good for data. It's going to be good for small businesses, large businesses, everybody. And we thought that they were making progress, but it turns out that they were just kind of putting everything on pause until they could set aside $45 million to roll out inferior service, which is going to be more expensive than what EPB charges. EPB charges, I think, $60 or $70 for a 1 gigabit connection, which is a lot cheaper than what I pay for 200 meg down to 20 meg up. So EPB was going to organically spread this, and it's already a profitable venture. So it wouldn't have placed any significant burden on taxpayers or state funds, but instead, why have well-stocked schools or well-connected hospitals? Because all of that would apparently stand in the way of Comcast's profits. So it's just better that you don't let the successful business thrive and that you subsidize the crappy businesses that were already not serving these customers, but give them more money, because that's what you do when a company fails you, is you give them more money to do the same bad service that they're already providing.
Yeah, that is business as usual.
Yeah.
Well, it's really disappointing until we can start putting pressure on this really shite state laws that allow for these no competition situations. I'm sorry, like I don't believe in anything free market. I want to agree with libertarians in this regard, but libertarians, I think, miss one point where the free market has no incentive to compete. Once a business has no regulation on it to actually battle against another business, what we see is duopoly or monopoly rule. And so if you're a company as big as Comcast and you cannot compete against a bunch of taxpayers in a small town rolling their own fiber, then I think you need to get out of the broadband game. I think you're irrelevant. I think you are a dinosaur and you've outlived your usefulness. A bunch of taxpayers with a grant from the Department of Energy are rolling 10 gigabit fiber to home, and Comcast can't even offer a 100 megabit connection in the same city.
Yeah.
It's time for you to die.
They have no incentive. They have no incentives to do that. Now, I think what's really interesting is this has been going on for a while. They even went up to the FCC. EPB went up to the FCC trying to, preempt a law that would, or at least a rule that would say it was okay for them to go outside of the area where they provide electricity. And even the state sued the FCC to shut that down. So it was like, no matter what they do, they just can't win. They've won in this smaller area where they actually provide broadband service, or where they actually provide electrical service. But outside of that area, they can't expand.
Well, and that's a little different too, because what you're talking about there are actually power co-ops. There are areas of Tennessee so underserved that that's not even a direct consumer relationship with EPB. Yeah. That's a group of people that have banded together to offer basic power to Tennessee. And so there is a provision that some of the money that can be rolled out will be allowed through those power co-ops to allow for additional broadband infrastructure. And this has been a huge sticking point. So like the people in Tennessee aren't pissed that they can't get Chattanooga's fiber. People are pissed because the power co-ops won't have to pay the same taxes as smaller ISPs. So the smaller ISPs are saying, well, we're not going to go and offer services in areas where the power co-ops will have less taxes to pay. They're like, well, then fine, then don't.
Yeah, and just to put it in perspective, the power co-ops actually cover about 2.5 million people. So if you can think about that, that's 2.5 million people. If this was actually allowed to roll out, that would have high-speed internet. 2.5 million people. So in that case, they don't currently have internet service that's competitive. Yeah. That's pretty shitty.
And that's where a lot of these people are relying on, 4G cell phone connections. Many of them won't even have access to proper LTE because, again, there's no business incentive to drop a tower. Yeah. So this is an increasingly alarming issue in a first world nation like the United States. And if we're going to improve the job market, if we're going to improve education, if we're going to improve healthcare, then not having good pipes to move this information around is a big deal. And like I was really grateful. I put out a video on this on Gadget Guy. I was really grateful that the conversation really did steer towards, there's a lot with this infrastructure that we need, as opposed to like the last time I did one of these editorials, it was like a bunch of, you just want to stream your Netflix faster. You're like, you're an idiot. So, we face a real big, so I don't think this is liberal or conservative. I think the liberals have actually done a pretty crap job of improving this relationship too. But it's the Republicans who have been especially egregious. In addition to this story, after the internet privacy legislation went down where ISPs can sell off our information. Who is it? Wisconsin Representative Jim Sensenbrenner, a Republican,
yeah, I saw that.
was in the middle of a town hall meeting where someone asks him, Facebook is not like an ISP, but we expect more from Facebook than this legislation allows for our ISPs to sell our data. I don't have to go on Facebook. I don't have to go on Google. My ISP is different than those services. And Sensenbrenner's reply is, well, nobody's got to use the internet. I don't think it's my job to tell you that you cannot get advertising for your information being sold. My job, I think, is to tell you that you have the opportunity to do it, and then you take it upon yourself to make the choice. So you don't have to use the internet. If you don't want your information to be sold, just don't use the internet.
No, realistically, I think this ties back to the FCC. I think the internet has to be classified as a utility so people can actually understand.
Well, and
this.
that can actually has to be enforced.
Yeah, people need to understand that communication or access to information is a right. Okay, I'm sorry. You don't have to have access to everyone's private information, but access to basic information, to the pipelines that allow you to get that information, especially when it is funded, or the creation of that pipeline was funded by the government, it becomes a right.
Yeah.
Right. So, wow, this is a pure misunderstanding of the internet, right there.
Yeah. You know what? We could go on. We've spent a lot of time on uselessnesses for this week.
Fat Produce says we really need term limits on this dinosaurs in Congress.
Yeah, we do. No,
Yeah.
I don't. If we have term limits on the president, I think we're long past the usefulness of allowing senators and representatives to stay in essentially unchallenged for life.
Yeah,
and it's time to shuffle people out faster,
True.
alongside campaign finance reform. So again, two things we'll never get.
All right, let's move on. News segment, guys. We've finished with all the uselessnesses of the week. First up, Microsoft has an event coming on the 2nd in New York, but this looks like it is education-based because of the hashtag Microsoft EDU. We do know that we will not be seeing a new Surface Pro 5 or even a phone. Forget that one. But rumors are pointing to an upgrade to the Surface 3, and that tackling Microsoft's lack of focus in education. And also, this might be the first announcement of Windows Cloud. We've heard about this for a while. A few people have actually mentioned seeing this in operation, and this is Microsoft's way of trying to combat Chrome OS in the educational space. So just quick thoughts. What do you guys think about this push? Considering Microsoft has a lot of features. I remember 2 years ago, I got to see, it was almost 2 years ago, I got to see what they were doing with Office for students and some of the educational tools and helping students like work mathematical problems and things like that. And I'm going, why haven't you shown this? And I think to this day, they still haven't actually shown it. I mean, it's available, but they haven't actually advertised it, of course, which is a whole Microsoft problem altogether. But anyway, Warren, what do you think?
All right, so we'll see what Microsoft comes with this Windows 10 Cloud Edition. I guess that's, like I said, it's supposed to compete against the Chromebook, but are they going to make sure that they advertise the services that match along with it, the devices to go along with it, and it's going to be priced competitively enough that will entice schools to jump in on that? And the whole reason probably Chromebooks are pulling off better is because, in the end of the day, all people need is a browser. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of the things that are online based, and you can access Microsoft stuff through Chrome browser as well as you can access Google stuff. So we'll see how all that goes. I'm just kind of like, I have a feeling this will come and go, and no one will say anything. Anything that comes out of this won't be relevant within like the next week after. Yeah. It's hard to get excited for Microsoft announcements these days.
Yeah, I think the real announcement is that Joe Belfiore actually has a new job at Microsoft.
Yeah, he's head of human. Yeah.
I really think this is a real announcement. Like he's head of what, communications and outreach or something like that. So,
which is good because they do need that focus on there. I think to Warren's point, you're right. I mean, if they announce the Surface 5, right, just a regular Surface 5, let's call it that. because they're probably going to skip the numbers just so it matches this year. And that is priced at, let's throw it at $300, which gives room for Lenovo to drop $100 Windows cloud device. Because Lenovo already has a Lenovo 110 that costs 100 and something bucks.
The problem with this is that they won't do that. They'll partner with Lenovo to release something under their name instead of them releasing their own hardware, and then
I think
they will.
I think they will with this, and I think they will just price it slightly higher so that Lenovo and the rest of them can drop theirs at the lower price point. And you say, here are all the Windows 10 cloud devices that you can buy. Premium with the Surface for like $350, and then Lenovo's $120 option out there.
I don't know. This is Nadella's Microsoft, and any type of hardware is a negative in their book. So,
no, I do agree, but I think a Surface hardware is probably needed. Just some announcement of it. So I think a Surface.
Well, hopefully that is existing. That's coming from the board, and it ain't coming from him.
Yeah.
They're saying you need to do this because I'm pretty sure he'd have killed Surface and everything else too by now.
Yeah, so I think a Surface hardware is needed because it looks like the Surface 5 is launching at the end of the year at this point.
Probably not till the fall.
Yeah, maybe with AMD processors instead of Intel, just because.
Make it cheaper.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll just eventually allow you to choose between AMD or Intel. And
either way would be one unit will be cheaper, performing at the same level.
Well, we'll see. By then, Intel will drop its price. If that even comes to fruition.
I mean, Intel will have to drop its price, but
Intel will drop its price close enough that it won't. It'd be irrelevant. But then again, I haven't seen these guys in a long time pull the whole choose Intel or AMD for their processor things. It's been all Intel.
Yeah. So it depends. We'll see what AMD does Computex with its laptop releases for the Ryzen line.
There's also the whole idea there might be an ARM chip in there, also because Windows 10 can run on the ARM architecture.
That's true.
Yeah, and the whole idea that how people had that rumor that Microsoft was going to have a Surface that you can't take. A Surface Book you can't take the screen off of. That's another rumor, right? That might be what Microsoft might be announcing for the education. I just want to see Holo School. If you got Holo School, count me in. If you don't have Holo School, I'm not even interested.
Facebook will beat them to that, so don't even worry about that. Facebook will beat them to that.
All right, so moving on to some other things from Microsoft. Now Microsoft is mulling the fact that you can possibly return Xbox One digital games. Finally, because I bought a few, and Sam knows this. I'll put it this way: if you guys have ever played,
are you sure you really want to admit to that?
Yes, I'm going to admit to it because the game.
You want to admit to that? Because that's all on you. That's all on you.
That's all on me. The game evolved. We played this at E3, and it was a good game. And we usually play our Call of Duties, but I was like, guys, let's get evolved. And I made them buy digital copies of that game because I was like, we need to play it today. And after we played maybe 3 hours,
dude, I don't think it was up to 3 hours, man. I think that 1 hour that we played feels like 3 hours.
That was the end of it. So
I still have the game.
Yeah, it's just there lingering on my Xbox doing nothing. I can't give it to anyone. I would gladly give it to someone to play.
Oh God, it was. I'm sorry to say this, but the only game I've ever regretted buying in the last 5 years, that is the only game I have actually ever regretted buying.
You know why? Because when we were at E3, we played it all together. The three of us played it at E3, and it was fun. And for some reason, by the time they released the game, they just destroyed everything that was good about it. So when we played the game, we realized that I was apologizing, like, guys, I'm really sorry. I would not give you a refund, but I apologize for making you spend $60 on this crap. So it's good to see that Microsoft, at least, hopefully they'll announce this at E3. And,
they were talking about this like 2 years ago, and then people were kind of not paying attention to it. I remember talking about this, how they were going to handle these refunds and digital distribution and trading and stuff like that. And they were talking about it, no one else was.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that we'll see what goes with this. It'd be nice within 14 days. That's pretty.
Yeah, that would be good. Moving on to more Microsoft stuff.
Well, I think just a few things about these about the refund. Right, it's right now it's only for the what's it called, for their program, the pilot program, right?
Yeah.
What they call that again? Insider program. And currently, basically, you must return the unwanted game or app in the first 14 days after purchasing it. If you've played it for less than 2 hours, you can return it. More than that, you're out of luck. DLC, season passes, and add-ons are not eligible. You must actually download and launch the game or app before you can request a refund. Microsoft says that certain
You have to eat your vegetables.
So Microsoft says that certain unspecified Windows 10 apps might not work. The self-service return system. That's a weird wording there. And finally, Microsoft reserves the right to block access for users who abuse self-service refunds. So this doesn't only affect Xbox games, it also affects Windows 10 games as well. So that's...
I don't care if the game cheaper. No, tell them whatever. The hell with it. Like, yeah, it's still more expensive. It's still cheaper to buy physical than digital copies because money hungry issues.
Well, at least they're telling you that once you download it, you have 2 hours. I'll just safely say you have an hour to hate the game as much as possible and just ask for a refund. Because if you're waffling in the middle, you might as well just say I hate it and get your refund at that point. One more thing, we finally got our first glimpse of what the Scorpio development box looks like. And I'm just going to zoom this in.
I like how you pulled that Steve Jobs there. One more thing.
Yeah. And it looks like a Xbox One S, so it's not going to be a behemoth. And I wish, it came with 3 USB ports in the front.
I like the two-tone design, though. That looks pretty hot.
Yeah. So at least this bodes well for what the final unit will look like if the development kit is not any much more different than what our Xbox One S is. It's not going to be a behemoth. And
look at all those original dev kits.
Yeah. You can see the original Xbox dev kit. You can see the Xbox 360.
3 different dev kits for that.
Yeah. And then you see the original Xbox One dev kit, and then the One S.
Xbox One was the dev kit.
Oh yeah,
the Xbox One and One S are the dev kit. You just get it unlocked.
Yeah, so which means this most likely is what our final.
Have you guys noticed one thing about all the dev kits that's not in this Scorpio?
No,
no CD drive.
It's coming. It's coming with.
I was trying to start a rumor.
No, this is
a slot there.
I'm not too surprised on the dev kit, but yeah, I was pretty sure.
There's a slot there.
Yeah,
there's a slot. I can't see it. I can't. Oh, yeah, it's very blurry. Yeah, I see it. Oh man, that's very well done. That is very well done.
Don't listen to Sam, guys. He's just trying to bad. All right, moving on to the Galaxy S8, which is launching on the 21st in the US. Pre-orders in Korea hit 720,000 in 1 week. So it looks like the fiasco of the Note 7 hasn't truly affected Samsung, even though I was expecting probably 1 million in pre-orders. But any thoughts on that, or do you think that was expected?
That was expected, man. That's basically home turf, man.
Korea, they're not taking anybody there.
You think? Wouldn't you think the G6 would? Never mind.
They told LG to what?
I was gonna say, wouldn't you think the G6 will fare better? I just kind of looked at all your faces. I was like, never mind. No. Just keep going.
Are you trying to gaslight us?
The G6 is an excellent step in the right direction for LG, but I think a lot of people are going to be wowed by Samsung's strategy here, and it's kind of a shame because I think it's there are probably devices that the G6 could be a really good fit for someone. Even just some of the basic ergonomics on it, I like better than the S8 from what little I've held the S8.
I mean, yeah, it goes down to some of the marketing decisions and the fact that they didn't launch this device a month ago.
Well, no. I think one of the bigger problems for LG is they're coming off a slate of bad press for the G4 and the V10 boot looping. The G5 was an abysmal experiment in modular phone design, and you add all that up with a terrible branding and advertising campaign. The new G6 spots are actually a lot better. Like the few TV commercials I have caught, just trying to look at what LG might be doing. They're back to here's, you know, like an image of the phone and showing off the features on the phone and what the phone can do. And you're like, that's a huge step in the right direction for LG. But I'm gonna chalk the G6 up to them. This is gonna be a rebuilding year for them. If they can continue to iterate on this design language, on this type of branding campaign, then hopefully by 2018 we'll see more positive traction. But they are gonna get eclipsed on the S8.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Speaking of the S8 again, AT&T rumors, of course, which most likely are true, is that an active version of the S8 will be coming soon. So at least AT&T can definitely have its logo on the device, because we do know that all the Galaxy S8 devices, standard ones, do not have any company logos for AT&T, Verizon, or.
I'll be really curious. Do you think they're going to go with the flat front face on an active?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I would think they still have a lot of surplus flat screens. I would really. I think they still have a lot of those.
Well,
so
but I mean, if we're talking surplus screens, and that means having to go back to 16:9, I don't think you're going to have a ton of surplus on an 18.5:9.
That's what I mean. 16:9, not 18. Not the new screens, the older ones. They're probably going to be using
Note 7 screens.
I'm thinking Note 7. No, not Note 7 screens. Maybe. You never know. I think they probably will be using, but that was curved, right? I'm thinking they'll probably be using S7 or S7 screens on that.
You mean regular?
And I think that was like the last proper phone screen that they put out that didn't have an edge display on it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're definitely right, but rumors.
I think it's an issue. Like I think it's an issue if you make a rugged device and you have a curved screen on it, because that's going to be, I think, one of the biggest failure areas for Samsung. They're built really well considering it's curved glass, but it's still curved glass. If you make an active, you have a notion of what that phone should be able to handle.
It just drops that particular way. It just drops, and just the crack just flowers out. I know that because 2 days into having the Note 7, I actually experienced it.
Well, we had
flowers.
We've had basically every single Samsung have front or back glass shatter.
Yeah, I just
starting with the S6 Edge Plus.
I just cracked the back of my S7 Edge.
Oh, man.
So I had a bit of a crash up when I was using a Note 5 a while back.
Yeah, so it happens, you know. Use those cases.
Well, yeah, the Note 5 had the rear glass was curved.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. AMD's Ryzen 5 desktop CPUs were officially announced this week. We had talked about them earlier. The pricing starts at $249 for the 1600X, all the way down to $169 for the 1400. The 1600X is 6-core. The 1400 is a 4-core, and so far the reviews for those have been great as well, with the 1600X getting close or even matching a 7700K processor. So it looks like AMD has been delivering on its hype so far, which is good, because we all know how they've not delivered for years, especially on the CPU market. So, I mean, which is good. I think this is a good time for PC builders. If you want to build a PC, you know, Intel is also combating with, you know, lowering their prices as much as they can. So you have options now. You can go really cheaper with AMD and still get the same performance. Or if you think, you know, you feel that Intel's more reliable or something you're used to, you can go with that. So I like the competition I see here in terms of just processors.
Price drops on Intel processors, those are already going live.
They have. On Amazon, you'll find, I think the 7700K has dropped price. To match, close to match with the 1700 from AMD.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, Intel was duly scared. Actually, no, it's gone back up again. Never mind.
I'm thinking my next build is going to be a Ryzen build.
Yeah, I'm looking at the price. So the 7700K is $554 on Amazon. The Ryzen 7 1700, which is actually specs better than the 1700K, is $329.
Wow.
Gotcha.
I know. I'm sorry, but like I still hold up to the whole, like, if you're releasing something and you know that someone else is coming up with something competitive later on, start a price war as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Get as many consumers to look at your product and say, "Oh, this looks good." Stop playing the band. Stop playing the drums.
Sorry,
Yeah, I was
my
gonna
bad,
say,
my
what
bad.
the hell is
That was-
happening?
No, I was agree with you. Going yes.
Boo.
No, I definitely.
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, start a price war early. Start it cut it down as much as possible, and make sure you make as much money by getting as many customers on your platform or your architecture as quickly and as cheaply as possible.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree. I think it's worthwhile because, and also the good thing with the Ryzen is that they have not had any motherboard issues. You know, especially when you release a new CPU or a new chipset line, there's always, remember, Sam, we had that with the X99 when we were building a new one. Yeah, we went through 2 motherboards just to do that. So
We went through 2 motherboards. I think I went through 3 or 4.
Yeah. So they've really locked out that their motherboards across the board have been solid from their partners too. So, and like I said, it's a good time to build a PC. And you know, even the Ryzen builds, all the Ryzen builds are running very well and effectively with NVIDIA graphics cards. So there's no issues also with using competitor products with it too. So like I said, it's a good time to build a PC, and it's a cheap time. So if you want a cheap 4K, build, you can do it now and not fidget with different parts here and there, because your CPU off the bat is not that expensive.
Yeah, it might actually do an upgrade.
The Ryzen
everything that
7s
goes
are up
around
too.
with that too.
So what do you say?
Oh, sorry.
They said the Ryzen 7s are available too now too.
Yeah, they're available. That was available first when they announced this Ryzen 7.
So I'm gonna go claim what I said before. Why would you buy a 5? Just the pricing just does not indicate why would you buy anything in a 5?
What are the power envelopes?
One is the Ryzen 7 competes with the X99. All of them, almost all of them, can be the X99. The Ryzen 5.
Does it mean like 140 watt? Like my
95.
95.
Yeah, and then the Ryzen 5 is 65 watt.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, if you
They're
want,
different
like,
uses.
like lower,
Yeah,
lower
it's different use cases altogether. So it's all about use case. But if you want to build a monster build and not spend too much, then you go Ryzen 7.
1500X looks nice.
Everybody in this chat will buy a Ryzen 7.
I'm
Honest here.
I'm not disagreeing. No, but when you want to do that budget, you're like, I want to spec 600 and still get very good performance. That's where the Ryzen 5 comes into play. So
I suppose.
yeah. We're talking about spending 600 and spending 1,000. Those are 2 different things here altogether. And then finally, Nintendo made a bunch of announcements this week. Nintendo Direct, and I can just read some of them for you. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is coming April 28th.
Woo!
We already knew that.
Oh, you guys know.
Mario Kart's one of those things like that might actually convince me to pull the trigger and switch it on.
Yeah, so that's coming
What
out.
Zelda about Mario? Interesting.
Yeah, because Mario, I mean, I can jump in and play with you guys anytime. It's Zelda that you see. I can't play Zelda anymore. And it's you and Sam. Sam and Warren are playing it. So, and it's not a co-op game. Like I think playing Division a lot with you guys has got me into playing co-op more, because it's just so much fun, especially how bad I suck at Division.
and how you mistakenly delete your character, which is just still boggles the mind.
That's not
How do you delete a character?
No, look, let me just continue reading around.
Isn't there prompts? Isn't there prompts to tell you before you hit delete?
So
You didn't read it, did you?
No, I was using the controller, and I didn't switch the controller from Android to PC mode, the backing controller. So I hit A, which usually means confirm. It's like delete character. Then I hit B to go back. That actually confirm.
Oh, no, I almost did that after I played the Switch for a while, and I moved over to PC. You kind of have to watch that. The button layouts will kick your ass.
I will press F to pay respects to the character you deleted.
So anyway, Mario Kart is coming out on the 28th. It will have more characters, cards, tracks will be unlocked, which is a good idea for release.
And I think it'll be up. I think it's going to play in 1080p, by the way, too.
Yeah, and then the other game, which is basically
60 actually.
just basically milking is Ultra Street Fighter 2 will come out May 26th. Will include the HD graphics mode as well as the original pixelated graphics settings if you want to do that.
Got to do the original. Sorry.
Yeah. Includes 2 new fighters, Evil Ryu and Violet Ken.
You don't have to beat the whole game to get Evil Ryu.
Those are new characters. Come on.
No, but well, for that series though.
For that series, it is.
No, but I mean, like that's a skin. That's a
no.
They play different.
Oh, they play very different.
They play very different. Evil Ryu and Violet can play very different.
Evil Ryu played more like Akuma. It's not really new.
Akuma doesn't play different than Ken and Ryu.
Yeah, it's just a different. Akuma's like a mix between like a Guile play style and.
Okay, this just shows you we have not played Street Fighter in a while. Evil Ryu has different combo sets that you use if you want to beat someone. Yes, he still has Shuriken and Hadouken, but the style is actually different. Just saying. So, you guys can just chill for a second, all right?
No.
No more chilling. No chills for you. No chills for you.
Minecraft is coming out on May 11th.
Nobody cares.
More. Are you serious?
Dude, you know how many kids are going to get that thing?
Yeah.
If they already have Minecraft, can they port their Minecraft stuff from their PC and their phone to this to this thing? No. Okay, then they're not going to buy it.
Oh, you'd be surprised. More Neo Geo games are coming on the way. Samurai Showdown, yes, is on the way to the Switch. Sonic Forces is coming out holiday 2017, so which means after May 11, that's a gap already. We're going to Sonic Mania is coming out in the summer. Project Mekura is coming out summer as well. Fate Extella is coming out July 25th. Bisage 5 is coming out May 23rd. Monopoly in the fall. Battle Chasers late summer. So basically a few games in the summer, and then we're going to the fall.
Yeah, but the truth of the matter is people are still going to be waiting for a very long time for decent games.
Everyone's waiting for the Mario to drop. Everyone wants the Mario Odyssey to drop.
It's still 30 days between now and when the Switch the Mario Kart comes out. And then in 60 days, it's 30 days. It's April.
Now? It comes out. It comes out in 2 weeks.
No,
I know.
2 weeks.
No. I think it's from the original launch is more than 30 days. So it's
more than 30 days.
A month and 2 weeks from the original.
No Rayman games.
Apart from Mario Kart, every other game is being delivered around that after 30 days or around 30 days from now, and you're announcing it now. Why can't they release these like a day or two after they announced? These things were announced like last year when the Switch was announced, and we only got like maybe one really playable, amazing launch title. It's the Switch is going to get you're going to get like a hit on people on playability, or at least on enjoying the Switch if you don't have great titles to launch it with.
Well, I think the reasoning that this is happening this way is because their launch strategy for this is not truthfully full home console. This is their DS style way of launching things. So when the DS launches, usually there's just one or two actual title games that everyone plays, and then there is a large gap before you start seeing the other games come through. That gap is usually all the way until the holiday season where this starts to pick up. So I'm pretty sure that's why we're seeing this happen in this direction. This thing released in March.
I get what you're saying.
DS consoles in March. Now I get that like they really should have had more stuff out there because the problem is that they promoted this thing as a home console, even though the reality is it's a portable console that they have this confusing message on that they can't figure out which one they want to say that it is. Mm-hmm. And for that matter, it's a $300 console that should have had more stuff to come with it other than Zelda. But then they did bank on the fact that Zelda would hold them the hell over, and it pretty much did.
It is.
So I give them the credit for that. It's one great game and one giant tech demo of the damn system at the same time. So they look at that and say, well...
But even funnier that Zelda has outsold the Switch.
Well, because it's available on Wii U. So
no, I know. I'm just saying that.
And the only reason that I think those Wii U people even bought it is because they can't get a Switch. They can't get a Switch because they most likely would have spent the extra money just to go get it on the Switch any damn ways. Yeah. So I think, like, to attest to what Sam was saying, I think that's the reasoning we're seeing this weird spell of how they're coming out with things in such a spaced and gapped out way. But I think by the time we hit the holiday season, I think they'll finally hit up and running. The one thing I wish they would have done at the launch of this is the virtual console should have been available immediately.
Yep.
And that not being available immediately is telling me, one, they're having a hell of a fit trying to design on this new software, clearly, because they're using a new OS, which is based on FreeBSD, I believe, the new version that they're using. So I'm pretty sure they're having a hard time developing for it, because that's the first thing that should have came over was the emulator capabilities to hold people over for them to buy the games that they wanted. And nobody wants Neo Geo games, damn it. Like every time I go in there, it's a new Neo Geo game, and I'm just like, yo, like, no, like the Neo Geo game is something you get when you've already gotten the other games that you wanted, and well, the Neo Geo games.
I like Samurai Showdown, man.
If you can't get,
I love me some Samurai
if you can't
that
get,
doesn't motivate me to buy hardware.
That's not motivating me to buy.
No, but there's nothing there that motivates hardware. And I agree with you that Virtual Console should have been the first thing, a day one supplement to Zelda, because someone like me bought Zelda, haven't played it much. I would have gone in and bought, Mario 3 and just play that again.
Oh, I'd have played Mario 3 to death.
I mean, come on. I would have bought Battletoads, you name it. Like, there's so many things you could go and pick up without actually,
now, if the strategy is something of updating these games, maybe releasing Virtual Console games, but then giving some new component to them, something like that, that'd be interesting. Like Mario 3, but now as a co-op, some type of online co-op that you can do with it, or whatever.
Play the wizard. Go wizard mode on it.
Okay. Both of you are daydreaming. We're talking about Nintendo here, so just stop.
I know. But the other announcement they had, which was the fact that they're going to be selling the Switch dock as a standalone item. That's pretty cool, but it then raises the question: will they be selling the Switch as a standalone eventually?
No, because it wouldn't make sense to do that, because you need that as part of your actual system. So the dock is just if you want to dock it in another location. So that makes sense to sell that as a separate accessory. But
if you're never going to use it as a home console,
nope.
I would say no.
Nope, I'd still keep it in there.
Because you can charge it with a USB 3. There's really nothing you need to dock.
I would still,
to keep the motif.
I would still give the customer the entire package. Even if it's going to shave off a few pennies, you still want to give them the complete solution, because what you say you're never going to dock it until you do. Until you do, and until you do,
like that.
You get that one use case.
Until you do,
that one use case scenario. That's like everyone says, I'm never going to use a Note 7 pen until you do. Eventually something pops up in the way. I'm watching my Netflix and I want to watch it on the big screen. Boom. Yeah. You pop it in. Now, if they sold accessories in some way, like a cable that you can just plug it to the back of a TV and send HDMI, then maybe you can get away with not having the bundle to dock. But I doubt they're going to do that.
Oh yeah! By the way, they also released a neon colored. I always want to call them the nunchucks, but they're what they call them again? Joy-Cons. So jokes on you, everybody who got the red and blue. I'm getting neon, man. I'm getting neon.
And they also have battery packs for it too.
Yeah.
Extended battery packs for the Joy-Cons,
which is good. Which I think is a good needed thing.
Yeah.
Traveling on the go.
I mean,
the neons glow in the dark. That would be awesome.
No, they wouldn't be. It's just as bad as Sony's little thing, the Sony PS4 controller that glows in the middle of the night. The front of it.
I'm gonna stop and not mention it.
The light glows in front of it, and you can develop that thing to do different things based upon what's going on. So like in The Last of Us, that thing will glow based on your health meter, and I think in Uncharted it does a couple things as well too. So you won't notice unless you kind of look down. Like there's certain parts of playing The Last of Us where it'll turn like yellow or red, or it'll adapt to different situations based upon what the developer pushed into the.
I could never understand what those colors meant. Seriously, I was like, is it mean that I'm running out of battery power?
No, I think like if I remember correctly, I think it was like it would turn yellow if I went to an area there was toxic gas. And then if I was fighting somebody and I was dying or losing the fight, it would kind of turn yellowish to reddish. And then if I healed, it would kind of turn like almost a blue color, back to kind of that blue color. I'm not being accurate. I haven't played the game in a while, but I know developers can make that thing do different things to sync with the game.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, so just a quick note. Ronald Collins mentioned it. Said 7700K is $299 at Micro Center, while the 1700X is $389. The 1700X is still better than the 7700K. Just telling you, but it is $299.
What about the 1800X? I'm not hearing much about the 1800X.
1800X price is only $40 more. I mean, you're looking at the 1800 and the 700 compete with the X99. Period. Like performance-wise, you're going all the way there. So still,
AMD do. I mean, Intel's due for release in like a few months, right?
What?
Is it AMD? I mean, Intel due for release of their update sometime in like the fall.
In the fall, maybe, but everyone's all the rumors are not pointing to anything drastic either.
No.
Yeah. Nothing.
Well, it doesn't have to be drastically different. It could be a little bit better than what they are because the processors are great now. You spec it up a little bit, you make sure it competes a little bit, and then just make sure the price matches. Then everyone gets excited.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but from what everyone is saying, they're like, it doesn't matter. AMD has won this year, pretty much. They're like, yeah.
How do you win when we don't have it all sold yet? I hate when they say, hey,
because
we have sales figures.
Intel is going to come out with more expensive chipsets. That's simply what it is.
In performance, okay. And here's the other thing too, on the graphics card side, which is also an interesting point. With NVIDIA made a mistake of launching a Titan X last year and then launched a TI this year. And then last week announced the Titan X XP just to make sure the Titan X is on top. And because now the rumors of Vega is matching well because of what they are doing, with that. So it seems like, the guys on top have been enjoying this grace period of no competition, whether it be Intel or NVIDIA.
I don't want to say it was been totally no competition. I think
no. I mean, there was no competition from AMD.
No, I think on the processor side of things, I think it was more AMD just not hitting the right marks. Because I think people were always looking at what they had. They just never hit the right marks to things. And they finally kind of hit those right marks. So I don't think it was something that Intel rested on per se. NVIDIA, oh yeah, they just sat on their asses because there was zilch.
But if you look at what AMD's done with the Ryzen, they've done two or three things that we've always stated. Number one, product is good. Number two, marketing has been good. And messages on point. Number three, a lot of people are putting out reviews out there for this products out there. So you'll find people with different builds, people talking about Ryzen versus Intel, or this Ryzen versus that Ryzen, all that stuff is available. So, I have to give them kudos because usually nobody listens to our advice. Granted, they don't pay us again for any of this stuff. But, it looks like they've actually hit all those marks to make sure that, it's in people's mindset.
I think that the big difference is that they stopped trying to make a CPU and GPU in the same damn thing and try to sell it to you and just said, let's just make a great CPU that does everything that our customers want to do and then price it at the proper point. And it seems like they finally just kind of went in that direction and said, we'll let the GPUs do their own thing as well too. Because that was the thing that they were doing for the longest time.
The APUs? No, they still have the APUs.
Yeah, but no, it didn't entice people. It just didn't.
I mean, the APUs have dropped down to a very different category for HD PCs. That's pretty much what those devices are for.
Yeah, but even these Ryzen will probably blow these things out. Even the cheapest Ryzen will probably.
If you want to do a HD PC, you buy that Ryzen 1400. At 169, and you throw in an RX 480, done.
But like it's just like But what I'm saying is that I think it was their own fault that they did not compete well with Intel because they couldn't decide what they wanted to be, and they wanted to try to do two things in one to beat one company, or try to take one thing to beat two companies with it, kill two birds in one stone. That's what they were trying to do, and they finally, I think, at some point figured out we can't do that. We got to compete in the different spaces in different ways. So I think that's the case in the graphics card side of things. I really hope they do put some competition out there because NVIDIA has been sitting on their ass and they've been gouging people. And yes, their graphics could have been amazing, but I'd love to see them get killed on price soon. I really would like to see that happen. And I think they've been releasing so many things in so many different ways. They're pissing people off now. Yeah. I think last year with the 1080 debacle pissed a lot of people off because of the way the pricing was handled. And I'd love to see and that's why the RX480 got so much talk last year. It was really based upon that, even though it really wasn't a competitor to those cards.
Because that trend has continued for a while, says the guy who's sitting here with the GTX 970 who still hasn't gotten his settlement check. So, like
you actually nailed that in.
I'm done Intel for my next build, and I'm done with NVIDIA for my next build, and I'm holding out to see what Vega has to offer. That's it. Like I'm ready to flip back to AMD, and I'm going to give the graphics card a try too. So we'll see how it goes.
I mean, you're definitely right. If they can hit the graphics card this year, they would have come back in full force.
It would help them. It's almost more important they hit the graphics card thing more so than the processor thing, because then people will then associate getting a combo from then versus people associate getting Intel processors with NVIDIA graphics cards. And if they can put that combo together, that really does create some great competition out there. Yeah. I think that I want to see them beat. The processor things are nice, but I'm not against Intel in the front the way I'm against NVIDIA, because Intel has always put out quality stuff and stuff's been priced well and it's done what it's supposed to do. I haven't had that hugely negative experience or had to deal with them price gouging and screwing with numbers with the way NVIDIA has done. So I really would like to see an AMD. We're all happy about the process. It's just because it just creates some competition. But I think people will still I don't think one's going to drag one to the other.
I think the implementation on the motherboard side is going to be a big deal, because seriously, like we said, we've had major issues with the motherboard.
That's going to be the big thing too.
Yeah. So if Ryzen doesn't have any issues with the motherboards that are coming out for it, and Intel pulls another like X99 subpar motherboard releases, or the OEMs do that, it's really going to kill the delivery.
It's funny you mention that, because Ronald also talks about, AMD's main problem is always to be graphics cards with their drivers. And talking to AMD with what they said they were doing with drivers with Ryzen and is going to match forward was they changed their whole driver process entirely. They brought everything in-house, just like the way NVIDIA and Intel has done, right? It's them releasing, and also they changed their software release platform to make it easier for drivers to drop. And even with Ryzen, after they launched, I think they've done 4 or 5 driver updates. Some were for games, some were for Windows performance issues, but they have been quick, at least with this launch anyway, to say, hey, look, because I remember some people were like, Ryzen doesn't game well, and they're like, those games are not optimized for it, but here's drivers that will help you till those guys optimize the games, because with our system, you can use all the cores as opposed to Intel or somebody else. So I think he is right. If they can nail that for the graphics cards, then
the graphics cards to me are the biggest thing, because I think in the end of the day, while this is great, and I think this will help a lot of people that want to make great quality, cheaper PC builds, I think it'll still be either your Intel guy or AMD guy, and you either agnostic to either one, you just build whatever you feel like doing at that time, or you stick to one side or the other. I think so many people, the second of this Vega thing immediately is something competitive or even benchmarks and beats out what NVIDIA has, so many people are going to jump to it, and they're going to jump to it just in spite of NVIDIA more so than anything else. I really see that happening, because you remember I'm in the same boat as one with a 970. You remember when I bought that 2 years ago, and I was at E, and I was like, how long did it take me to actually put the cash down to put that thing down? Because I was getting pissed at the pricing. I was just getting pissed at the entire thing. And I was like, there's no other competition. I got to buy this stupid piece of crap. And I didn't want to get it at all. I was like, well, why do I get one of these, better cars? It's like 10, what was out last year? The 1080 or not the year before.
It was a 980. It was a 980 Ti, actually.
And I think I was looking at a Titan maybe or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, $1,000. Like, fuck, really? Like, really? Please kill this. Like, I really want to see AMD down the $1,000 graphics card notion. I'd love to see that happen, because I think if that does happen in one instance, it will help a lot of it will help with a lot of people that want it. Help PC gaming in general.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I'm not the
I
biggest
mean,
PC gamer, it will help PC gaming in general. It will help VR gaming. It will help 4K gaming.
I mean,
in general,
they have to some degree, especially with the RX 480. The fact that that card alone lets you build a 4K and VR machine much cheaper, and you can still get two of those cards and still be cheaper than a 1080.
Yeah.
Well, and I was looking at maybe making the switch over to the 480, but it's kind of a lateral move from my 970. And so I'm trying not to duplicate.
I looked at the same thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna sit on my 970 for a little while longer yet. I mean, because I'm not gaming as hard as I used to. This is more about video editing. But
and I was about to bring that up. My other thing is that I'm like, I need to know what AMD, how those graphics cards are going to handle 4K video editing, what cores, what codecs, and what it's going to handle with the software that I'm using, which is Premiere Pro. Is it going to all sync well together?
It's fine. I mean, from the 480s I've used, yeah. I mean, that was the first thing I did. Actually, I didn't play anything. I just built it and I started editing the videos. I was like, thank God. Okay.
you're talking about like OpenGL support there, right?
Yeah.
Or just like different graphics and different things that you're doing on there in terms of special effects and things you're adding within the software or doing color grading. You really processor that can handle all that without slowdown or some type of bugs and stuff.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, I guess we should come to an end because we actually are at the end of the show.
Oh man, 30 minutes past.
Yeah, and at this point, we, of course, Warren, what is our word for the week?
Do not drag people off a plane.
Don't do it.
Just don't.
Just drag people off
Stop
a plane.
it. Stop.
Okay.
And if you think somebody has the worst PR mistake of that year at that point in that time, just wait for the White House and Sean Spicer all time.
Oh God.
Every single time. Just like, you think United had it bad, you think Pepsi had it bad. Oh no.
Oh yes. So it's funny we didn't even mention that. This was probably PR nightmare this week. And it's funny because I have some PR friends on Facebook, and one of them says, like, if you're a PR person, you should be hiding this week because we had Pepsi, we had United, and we had Sean Spice.
And even Sean Spice's was even made worse because it happened on the week of Passover.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, come on, man.
It's just like whatever you think is bad from some company, just wait for the press secretary. Just wait for it. Wait for them to make an announcement. They will top it. They want to hold that L.
The intro to Sean Spicer should be this. Last week, he basically yelled at someone. The week after that, he told a black woman to stop shaking her head when she wasn't. This week, he basically rewrites history. Sean Spicer.
They should do it in like, what is it, that show Scandal? They should just do it like in that style with him every week.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Mr. Wambach, no. What do you have on the channel? What can we expect from you next week on both Pocket Now and Some Gotcha Guy?
Okay, so I go into more detail on that Tennessee broadband initiative, and I think I'm going to be following that up just with some other net neutrality and FCC related topics coming up soon. I'm also, I think I've finally come to a decision. My Samsung camera died last week, and so I had it was definitely not the way that I wanted to go about doing a camera upgrade. So I have a really cranky rant about that on the channel too, but then I'm also going to be putting out sort of the follow-up, what I'm going to be doing about that. I've been shooting on G85 from Panasonic, and I think that might be the go-to.
G85?
Yeah, it's the baby brother to the GH series from Panasonic. So,
okay.
Little 4K video shooter. It's not bad. And I'm also going to be putting out a camera tutorial about long exposures. So how to get better long exposure, like streaking taillights or light pinging photos. Just some tips and tricks to.
I need to watch that because I try to do that with this
camera
rule, here.
Use a stand. Use a freaking tripod.
No stand. Like no spoilers or anything, man. That's cool.
I tried to do that with this camera, just kind of failed at it.
I was wondering why I couldn't do it for the longest time, and then I went online to try to figure figure out what am I doing wrong. And I heard the first thing someone said is use a stand, use a tripod.
The camera.
That's actually a good idea, Sam.
So I'm gonna detail not only using a tripod, a couple other tips and tricks to help improve your long exposures. And then over at Pocket Now, I just yesterday published a G6 V20 comparison. We've still been getting a number of questions from people: is the G6 a V20 killer? So we dug into that one, and then
we didn't even talk about that.
I also put out a video, sort of a little pros and cons of shooting 360 video from the Gear 360-2. Again, it's like shooting in 360 is just a really big head trip in how you produce content. So there's a video about that and sort of my experiences in trying to produce content.
You have a tripod for that thing? That's pretty cool.
I've had this thing for years. I got it for like $2 at I think at like a Target, but you can get them online for like a pack of 5 for 73 cents, and shipping's only $10.
Yeah.
And so
like that.
compared to Samsung solution, because Samsung solution got rid of the handle, so they gave you this little hemorrhoid ring. So that's what,
I called it a donut to be nice, but you are right. It is a hemorrhoid
to prop your really expensive, fragile top heavy. This thing is stupid top heavy, and so they give you this little hemorrhoid donut, and you put it on there, and it doesn't really work. I mean, if you tip it, this is not like a Weeble. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. This thing falls down. So instead, I just grabbed an old tripod, and there are any type of camera thread, little mini tripod, I would recommend, because then it also gives you a better handle, so that it reduces that kind of crab claw that you get from the bottom of your video when you hold it from the camera itself. This kind of helps you angle or point out or anything like that. So if you get something like the Gear 360, I would highly recommend going to some kind of selfie stick kind of solution.
Okay, cool. Sam, how about you?
Nothing really on the docket, really. What?
Alexa. Mate night, Alexa.
Oh, yes. Oh, God. Yeah. I totally forgot about that. It's right over here. Yeah, we got to do the Alexa the McKnight thing. Yeah, we'll do that. Holy Lord, I totally forgot about that. It's been one of those weird weeks. But yes, that's what we have. We have the Huawei Mate 9, and we're going to see how Alexa works on that. The integration of Alexa on that. And that's about it, really, for me. I don't have anything else on the docket. There was supposed to be like a Ryzen.
If you feel like doing a 360 video, that's always great.
If I feel like doing a 360 video,
He's got to clean his apartment to do that.
What are you talking about? My apartment is like, okay, whatever.
I know, because we're all the same place here.
No, but
my apartment is like,
Sam,
no.
you could just do the rooftop instead.
Yeah, I'll probably do the rooftop.
You can do the rooftop because you have the rooftop.
I have done a couple of.
No, his rooftop has a better 360 view than mine.
Oh, does I haven't been on that roof.
Because I have like a gym in the middle. You can walk around.
Just climb the gym.
Yeah, I've done a couple of 360 videos already, and
just climb on top of the gym roof.
Over at the waterfront and basically in the financial district. So
Link does it all the time.
Go parkour.
The dude is like, somehow he got Spider-Man's powers. He just goes on the things.
Yeah. So
we could put that up as well. We could put those 360 videos up as well. Yeah.
Okay, cool. On my end, more S8 stuff. We have another S8 video on the channel right now, so you can check that out. Gaming and speaker tests. We'll have more S8 videos next week, maybe 2 or 3 more. I have a Ryzen 5 build coming up, so you guys can see the performance of a Ryzen 5. We're pairing it with an RX 480. This is with Thermaltake and AMD, so thank them for sending all that stuff out. And I might do this next week. I'm not sure if I'll have time, but the Huawei Watch 2. Been using it since I got it, and
I'd like to get that.
It's cool. It's
I'm lying.
working.
I hate smartwatches.
It's working well, but and then of course there are a bunch of headphones which I promised, which I will not be able to do next week, just to let you know. So that's moving.
Just review the wall.
That will be moving to a week after. On a couple of show notes for you guys, there will be no show for the next 2 weeks. I will not be around, so I promise I will have the backlog of shows on Google Play for the podcast. Anyone who wants to listen, I promise I'll put all of them this week. It's about 5 or 6 shows. I know I've been slacking on that, but I want to thank everyone for chiming in.
We didn't. Yeah.
What?
We need to talk about this.
About what?
The Burger King ad.
What Burger King ad?
You've been under a rock.
The Burger King put out an ad where the guy in the ad says, "Okay, Google."
You've been under a rock.
So, Juan, remember when we had this conversation? And
Let Sam go. Go, Sam.
Like someone could do something inappropriate with this, and you're like, "No, we don't even need to go to the what ifs." Yes, this is leading towards that what if. Okay.
Right. Well, my point wasn't that we couldn't speculate about what other people might be doing. What my point was, people were already doing inappropriate. We didn't need to imagine because real inappropriate things were happening, and Burger King gave us just that other step. That again, from we talked about this on the Pocket Now podcast, which I don't even think has been published yet. We talked about this on there where this was on paper a brilliant marketing move. Yep. You're a bunch of ad people in a boardroom in suits who all have like iPhone 4Ss. This on paper looked genius.
Brilliant.
It's like, we know that there's a thing in your home that can listen to you, and it's triggered by this word, and it can do Wikipedia searches. So it's perfect synergy right there to sort of, trigger someone's Google Home and then send them to a Burger King Wikipedia spot. What is the Whopper? Populate the Wikipedia article with positives about the Whopper because anyone can edit Wikipedia. They sort of forgot that everyone can edit Wikipedia. So like the second that these things started triggering, of course, people were rushing out to Wikipedia, like say that they were made from dead rats, that they had entrails in them, that the Whopper was made from children. And you're like, this could
crying
only
baby tears.
Oh yeah, this could only have been an ad campaign designed by non-tech savvy half-wits who are all about changing the paradigm and brand synergy and proactive.
So non-tech hipsters.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, just MacBook Airs all over the island.
I'll put it this way.
They probably like The Verge.
That Burger King's PR department needs something called the a-hole checker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So after your marketing team is done, after you come out with the ad, you go to the a-hole checker, and the a-hole checker tells you if you're being a-holes because you just pulled an a-hole move. Okay, that was a total a-hole move.
You find a-hole checker because the a-hole checker is probably an a-hole himself, so a-hole recognizes a-hole. So they'll be able to tell you.
Sam, did it trigger your Google Home?
Oh, I didn't listen to the ad, man. Dude, remember we don't have cable.
I don't have
played on
cable.
YouTube though. It did. The ad was primarily on like YouTube.
I know, but this is how I listen to everything on my computer.
Yeah, if it's on the computer.
No, I mean, so this ad agency basically needs Damon Wayans to come out in like a clown costume and just slap people upside the head.
Homie, don't play that.
Oh, somebody's gonna bring that back.
Yeah,
somebody's gonna bring that.
All right,
back.
thanks for that, Warren. So there you have it, guys. That is the show for this week. I want to thank everyone again for joining in the chat. And also whoever will be commenting later on, just leave your comments. We'll come back and we'll try and answer them for you if you have any questions. Definitely check out all the channels. Check out Mr. Warren Bowman at bw1.com. You can also follow him on Twitter. His handle is bw1.com. And Mr. Juan Bagnell. You can follow him on Twitter. His handle there is Some Gadget Guy. His personal YouTube channel is Some Gadget Guy, and he is part of the Pocket Now network.
And also now on vid.me.
Yes, as Mr. Juan, as Juan
Still doesn't sound cool.
Yeah,
It's so lame. Oh my god, it's a wasteland. It really is. I have some of the best content on vid.me with 3 videos. It's amazing.
So this is interesting. So you know what? Just a side note. So I went to.
Wait. I'm trying to end the show.
No, this is tech related. It's just interesting. It just popped up in my notification.
YTA, one can't fix his audio. His audio is good. Google is the one that needs to fix the algorithm.
And I can't
distributing
hear
this
from
network.
I'm even monitoring myself to make sure.
Yeah.
I can hear myself in my brain, and it's a mess.
What is it?
So, like, you know how Google Photos will do the thing where if you go somewhere, it'll try to tell you, try to make up a collage for you or do some things for you afterwards to collect the photos together and gives you an alert. Somehow Windows does that now. And
they started doing that. It's really annoying.
And and the best part is that I went to SmackDown. I went to SmackDown Live that was here in Boston. It says Tuesday evening in Boston and Orlando. How? How?
So if you want to follow anything about Windows and collecting your data, definitely check out Barnacles. He's been doing a lot of videos on that. He used to work at Microsoft, and he's talking about all the different telemetry information that Microsoft is picking off your device. It's not just turning off Cortana or anything like that. So check that out. And Mr. Juan Bagdell had to run off, but
overrun for almost 45 minutes, like 3/4 of an hour.
Yes, so
I started late though.
So continuing, you can also follow Sam on Twitter. It is _man. He's part of the Booredatwork network. Myself, Booredatwork. It is Booredatwork on Twitter as well as YouTube. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you back in 3 weeks. There will be no show next week and the week after. And always enjoy your entertainment.